Hey, you guys, this is Courtney Camaro. I'm outside of Muhammad Ali's real original home. We're in Chicago, and I wanted to shout out Al's Botanics and Herbs. Man, when I tell you, I am one of those people that has insomnia. I can't sleep. I can't focus on some days because I'm so sleep deprived, and this has helped. This is one of the mixtures he has that helps with sleep.
So one of the things that I've been noticing, and definitely since the the world is very chaotic right now, thanks to basically a megalomaniac in office, Donald Trump, right? His real name of his family is Donald Trump, something like that, Trump or something. It's like German. But it was really doom and gloom, like, pretty much before him. I mean, Biden, he wasn't even really running the country, obviously, because he was basically basically dealing with a serious case of dementia, and later he was diagnosed with basically late stage cancer. It's like, really, the hope was Donald Trump was going to come in with a cape on, save the American economy, get people some more money in their pocket, and then basically what you seeing in the first 3 months is basically this dude basically got a kill list, he got objectives, agendas that have nothing to do with the American people. It has something to do with the global elites, primarily the global Jewish elites, um, and they're trying to control the Middle East from some proxy state in the Middle East called Israel, that was called Palestine, a long time ago. So it's like, this is, I understand it because, I understand history. Like, I actually am a history buff, and it's my thing. Like, I enjoy history because history basically points to what happened thousands of years ago still relates to today. Like, whatever happened yesterday relates to today. Like, if it happened 1,000 years ago, it relates to today. People don't understand that, but that's why I'm smart. Most people aren't. Okay. I mean, it's subjective, but yeah, I mean, people they don't really understand. They don't really try to research history. Like, that's how they get you, really. Like low key, like, I could tell people that don't understand history like that, like, they easily get got. They fall in bandwagons and all of that type of stuff because I'll point out exactly, like, I'll point out this, like, the people that be talking about they're Indian and they is they're not African, and then they fall in the bandwagon. Like, when people say that, when black people say that, I automatically off top understand their low IQ, and they're not to be taken serious. And also, because one of the reasons why a lot of black people in America are falling for this, other than they bandwagoners and their followers, is they don't like the stigma of slavery. But imagine this, right? You're gonna throw away you're gonna throw away a 100+ thousand-year-old identity and history off of 400 years of slavery, and really not even understand shit. The Muslims and the Moors uh were enslaving Europeans for over 400 years, almost 1,000 years. But see, you don't know that because you don't understand history. You don't read, you don't go out your way to understand history. So you don't know that part. You throwing, like, when you say you're not African, you throwing away the pyramids, you throwing away all of these ancient African empires, the Songhai Empire, the Ghana Empire, the Ascom Empire, the Egyptian, basically antiquity. I mean, you throwing away the great Zimbabwe Empire, the Zulus, the I mean, like you name it. You just throwing all that away because you feel some type of way about slavery and you following some grifter on YouTube and that has catchphrases and is good with being popular and you know does GoFundMe's and you know came up with some cool ideas in a cool nightclub that is now abandoned and closed down. I mean, I that's what you guys fall for. But I mean, the whole thing is, yeah, I get it. Like one of the things that I noticed, back to the topic, is that it is a lot of doom and gloom. A lot of content, doom and gloom. A lot of people's sentiments I could tell is doom and gloom. And it is. I can't say it isn't. And it's like to be honest, like think about it like this, right? It's people it's people still talking about relationship talk and it's World War III outside. It's World War III outside, but you like, man, you gotta, hey, if she really interested in you, you gotta say something. You know, if she get with who likes you. it's it's missiles fired, this missiles falling out. It's the doomsday plane is flying over the Middle East and fucking submarines is firing off missiles they ain't fired off. They said um that a submarine being used as basically a point of weaponry has not been used since World War II. And it just recently been used a week ago. I mean, literally. Like, I mean, all of this shit going on, but yeah, hey, them bitches though, gotta get at them hoes. I mean, hey, but I mean, I get it. I mean, your dick's still gonna get hard no matter if it's World War III outside or not or whatever. But yeah, I mean, I get it. It's a lot of doom and gloom, and people definitely what I'm saying? I can sense it. I can feel it. I can see it in the content. I mean, people are doomers, doomers, pretty much doom and gloom, like they're leading into nihilism, you know, as a form of cope. I get it. I get it. Um, to me, the way I look at it, because I am older, um, I'm, pretty much approaching 50. I'm pushing towards 50, I've been through worse shit than this. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, believe it or not, yeah. I've been through I've been through worse times than this. So it's kind of hard for me to be doom. It's kind of hard for me to be a doomer when I went through worse shit than this. Like me personally. I mean, I know I might come off like some nerd, lame corporate motherfucker, but I'm actually, I'm actually more hardened what you think of. I mean, I'm actually like, out of the shit I went through, a lot of the stuff I don't talk about because I'm high key very much embarrassed of all of the situations that I actually been through. I mean, most people don't talk about their past. They don't talk about like they're everybody has a closet where they basically put stuff in and they don't expose it to anybody unless maybe people that they know or people that they close to, and that's it. I mean, yeah, like I went through all kinds of shit, like I mean all kinds of stuff, and it was way worse. I had way worse times, times where I didn't have nothing. I mean, it was times where I was literally on some bum shit, like literally, and it's like basically in short, that's what I went through. Like, and I've had periods of time where I had no freedom. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not saying that, I understand why people are doomers or leaning into doomerism as a way to cope with this existence of now it's like basically There's a gas is going up. People paying a lot more money at the pump. Things are already messed up. AI is taking jobs at a fast pace. Companies laying off people left and right. They were already laying off people. Everything is fucking high. Uh, Real estate prices are high. Um, Everything is fucking high, right? As far as price. And it's not a lot of hope. And then, the job market you got layoffs and you have hiring freezes. There are reports that people, basically Gen Z, are graduating and they don't even have prospects to basically go get a job or whatever after they get their degree. They're unemployed, and then they have student loan debt. It's fucked. It's crazy. I get it. Trust me, I understand. I'm just saying, me personally, because I went through more hardcore shit than this. This is fucking like Candyland compared to the shit that I went through, and especially even in the 80s. Like, I remember in the 80s, like, both of my parents, they really like they was like trying to come up. My grand not my grandma, but my mom, she was just finishing up college and getting started her career as a teacher. My dad was a cab driver. We was living in a fucking ghetto, basically. That, believe it or not, now is not the ghetto. Bronzeville is definitely not the ghetto. But back in the 80s, it was pretty ghettoed out. It's like that Grandmaster Flash song. It's like a jungle sometimes. Can't even sing it, but uh, you know, broken glass everywhere. People living around and just don't care. That's literally what I went through. Like, if I watched that video, even though it took place in New York, that was literally what I saw. Like, I saw it was abandoned cars, like, with tires flattened. Even I used to walk around. I used to take a little piece of glass and then uh put the air out the tire. Like, I'm like, really, like, it's a side of me. I mean, a lot of black people have a ghetto side, and me, I actually lived in a ghetto when I was young, like, very young. So I remember it. I still remember everything that I went through. Even though I was only 5 years old, 4 years old, like, I remember that shit. And I remember government cheese, government powdered milk, even though what's dude finesse 2 times, he said Merc. He said Merc. Like, I don't know what Merc is, but yeah, powdered milk. Yes, definitely know what powdered milk is, and it sucks unless because babies don't understand. They'll eat anything, and they like, of course they drink powdered milk, but shit, is when you 4 or 5 years old, you know what powdered milk is, and that's not, you know, it's not something you really want to drink. But I mean, it was free. They was handing this shit out, like, I guess, like, at the food pantry or something. I don't know. And people was eating that shit. It was Reaganomics and all of that type of stuff was going on. Um, and then the 90s was cool. 90s was like, probably the golden age. If you have to say a golden age in my lifetime, I'd have to say the 90s. The 90s was the golden age. As far as my lifetime, going from 80s to now, I would say definitely the 90s was like a golden period. But yeah, it's because I kind of went through a lot of stuff, with my family, them trying to come up and then, pay bills and survive, and then eventually we moved to the suburbs. It's like, being an adult, trying to, pay for tuition, going away to college, and being a broke college student. Um then having, college debt, years later and all of that. Like I just really, I don't know. I just didn't have, like, I think people can live their whole life and they never have that big come up. Like maybe one person might have that big come up and then they blew it. Some people, I think they can go their whole life and never have that big come up. Like something that just like a big score. Like they can live their whole life and never have that. And it's like, some people, they just maybe just try to just keep chipping away, and it's like this. I saw on I saw on Facebook this janitor. He was, what a janitor makes. Janitor doesn't really make that much money, but he was, working as a janitor for, a couple decades, and he would just take some portion of his money and buy high yield dividend stocks. And by the time he retired, he had like $8 million because he was just basically putting his money into dividend stocks, and he just, gradually accumulated enough wealth to have $8 million. I think people were surprised that he was able to do that. But a lot of it is millionaires that do just work regular jobs. A lot of people don't probably know that, but it is quite a few millionaires. They became a millionaire and they're just a regular, they're just a worker. They're just a regular worker. They have a job that, pays them a certain amount, and then they have things that they do on the side. Like if you're just a regular employee and you don't invest, you don't try to learn how to do something on the side. I don't care if it's just baking pies, or cakes or something. Like if you don't do nothing and you just work your job and that's it. Like, yeah, you might get a 401k and maybe your company match. I don't know, maybe, I don't know. And then maybe you might get Social Security. Social Security in the future of Social Security, don't nobody really know about. Like, apparently it looks like, I think Social Security is facing maybe a shortfall in the next 10 years or so, or something like that. Or like in 2030 something. But I'm not really 100% on that. I have to kind of look into that. But the thing is like, yeah, if you're doing that, I mean, you might be all right, as far as your retirement might be able to maybe last for, I don't know, maybe 10 or 20 years if you lucky. But um you really kind of have to just have another stream of income, like, start a child care business or something, because um one income, like, is just not sufficient. And then the 401ks are not really sufficient because it's basically tied into the stock market. When the stock market is falling, that means your 401k is falling, and that's just, that's not how it used to work. Like, basically, the boomers and the silent generation, they enjoyed a pension. Okay, those pensions went away, and the pensions weren't tied into the stock market, or at least in a sense of your money wasn't just invested in the stock market. It was basically a pension where you had a fixed amount that you were going to get, and you put in a fixed amount every time you got paid, and then you retired with that set amount pension, and that was it. Like now, everybody pretty much is in, like, everybody really, like, the incentive to invest is right there. Like, I don't even know why people don't understand that or don't get it. like your money is already being invested in the stock market. If you got a 401k, your money is already invested in the stock market. So your your contributions is based off of how the stock market activity is. So if the stock market activity is dismal, then your 401k is going to take losses. So that's all the incentive right there to learn how to trade yourself. And then you can, basically trade your own stocks and whatnot to make money. But I mean, of course, got a nation of sheeps that don't know what to do. You know, it's too many sheeps, not enough wolves out here. It's too many sheeps. Lemmings and sheeps. So I mean, yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot going on. It's a lot to swallow. I mean, a lot of people don't even want to even think about this. Even me stating these things is a form of it makes people that already probably even went on the up and up. They kind of feel doomed and gloomed about what I'm trying to say, and I'm just stating the obvious things. But it hurts. You know, preacher tell the truth and it hurts. Hurts feelings. It hurts your fantasy of whatever you were trying to cope with, delusionally speaking, whatever you were trying to cope with. I bust the glass of your delusion because you're trying to avoid thinking about it. But I mean, that's what hey, I don't do the whole beat around the bush talk. I come on here and I talk to you just like if I was talking to you in person. You know what I'm saying? That's just the way I'm talking right now is just like I would talk in person, man. Like I don't come on here with no corporate speak or no plan of action, none of that shit. I just, I do this just off the strength and the muscle of whatever I think is appropriate or whatever I want to talk about, and that's pretty much it, but again, like I mean, just me personally, like because I went through so much fucking shit in my life and survived it and lived to tell about it. Even what's going on right now, I mean, it's just, it is doom, a lot of things to be doomed about, but I went through worse shit. I went through worse stuff than this. Me personally, and I'm not the only one, but yeah, I went through worse shit than this. I have, so um I'm able to stoically deal with these problems. And I'm in a better situation than I was 20 years ago, 10 years ago. I know more than I know than I knew 10 years ago and 20 years ago. I don't it ain't time to party. I ain't got nothing to party about. I ain't buying no, Gucci belt. I ain't buying no Gucci sneakers, no Prada, nothing, none of that. I don't do that. I don't. I just basically I'm trying to use my money to make more money. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes that shit goes good, sometimes it doesn't. It's pretty much mostly what I do. Like, um, looking for another property to invest in, but that's kind of fucked up because the prices of real estate still high. And when I dream of buying a house cash, but I'm reminded, like most people that have a house, they didn't buy their house cash. Like I looked it up. Less than it's like less than 30%, about 30% of individuals own their own home. Like 70% of people paying a mortgage, paying some form of mortgage, whether it be FHA, VA, or conventional private loan, like from a bank or something like that. You know, like that's what most people have. Like that little house, that house that you enjoy that you drove past, 9 times out of 10, it's got a mortgage on it. That person got a mortgage. They got it off credit. The cars is in the driveway. They got car payments. They got car loan payments. Basically, most of the country is based off of credit. This is a credit-based country. Everything you see is not what it seems. It's credit. It's a loan. When you see somebody got a nice car, they got most likely they got a nice car loan payment that they have to make. A nice house is a nice mortgage that they have to pay. So it's like, yeah, I mean, not that, I don't like it. I don't dream of paying a mortgage. Like when I dream, I don't dream of the house that I really want to live in, and just I fantasize about putting a mortgage payment or auto debit coming out of my checking account for paying my mortgage that month. Like, no, I don't dream like that. I dream, I'm super rich and I pay for everything with cash. I don't dream. When I think about cars, which I don't really think about cars. I really like cars, but I'm not really too crazy about cars. Like I really don't give a shit about cars. I used to really be into cars, believe it or not, but I used to even be into guns. I really don't, I'm just not into those things like that. I don't really give a shit about a yacht. Like most of the stuff that I want, like, basically is a nice house or whatever. And, I got some cars that I want, but that's pretty much it. It's not too dramatic. I don't need a private jet. I don't need a yacht. I mean, pretty practical when it comes to the things that I want. I mean, the only biggest thing that I want that is, kind of outrageous is I want a castle. That's what I want. I want a big giant castle. Um, but cars, just a Lambo. Lambo is cool. It's pretty much all like a Lambo and a castle. That's pretty much my peak. You know what I'm saying? Like a Lambo and a castle, and I'm cool. As far as women is concerned, that's another thing. Like, I think that code goes in the whole doomerism type of thing because like people are one of the things that I notice, and this is just, I'm not the only one that notices this. Is like basically men and women are kind of going their own way. Not all men and women, but quite a few women and men are kind of going into monk mode where they're just basically dealing with whatever they got to deal with by themselves, trying to do the best way they can and dealing with life. And then, it just by themselves, and it's like, um, it's just, because people are just, kind of like trying to deal with life and deal with this reality that we live in this country. And people just kind of at odds. People, women kind of fuck things up with the whole entitlements, and they just, you gave them a smartphone and then their head blew up. They this massive head explosion. They got, all these dudes liking their photos, and they just basic. They got a fat ass though, and then they got some nice tits and, mid face, and they just think they're fucking superstars and shit. And then, that social media blew their head up, and then they want $1 million, they want a millionaire, and they want a Birkin, and they want, you know, all kinds of shit, money wise, and from the and then all the other women, they just join in, and they just they want the same shit or want something similar. And it's like the average dude can't afford all of that. Average dude is making like less than 50 grand a year. He's got probably some debt. He's got to, probably struggling to pay his bills, might even be living with his parents. That's the average guy. That's the average guy in America. And, he definitely don't have enough money to buy a chick a Birkin bag or pay a whole bunch of money and paying for steak dinners and all that. So a lot of dudes, they just don't date. They just stop dating. Dating apps is, if you wanted to make money this year, all you had to do was date basically short the dating stocks. Match.com, Bumble, you'd have made a killing just off of probably still as opportunity. But if you just shorted all of the dating apps, definitely Bumble, the biggest ones I know is Match.com and Bumble. I think one of the stocks is like Love or something like that. Man, if you shorted them stocks, man, you'd be rich. If you just shorted, if you just if nothing else, shorted those stocks because they went down. Men men caught up, they understand and adapted. The dating apps is just kind of worthless. It's just a waste of time. The women are not, really taking dating apps serious. It's really goofy, right? This is the thing. This is the thing with dating online, right? And this is the difference between men and women, how they look at dating and mating online, right? So, for example, women will literally have 100,000 dudes in their inbox on various social media accounts. They just don't really, they don't really like. They probably look at some of them. They don't even pay attention to them and don't take them serious. They don't take it. They don't think like it's just normal to them, and they don't really take it like they not really taking it serious. And then the same women complain about being single. It's like weird, because here's the thing, right? when 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 dudes get a chick to inbox them, they smashing that chick. Believe it or not, like how I got married and had two kids and everything. My ex-wife inboxed me from a date now. She literally inboxed me, I mean, and it was like the rest is history. Like chicks, that's one of the things, like the difference between men and women. Like women they don't really take their inbox thing, they don't take it serious. I think some women don't really like meeting men off of dating apps because they prefer to meet men in person. I don't know. But it's like they can their husband is literally in their inbox, but they complaining about them being single. So tripped out, man. It's weird. And it's like, that only has a fucking like expiration point. Like when women get older, the older they get, the less interesting, they are to men. They start, basically getting older, men just start dropping off. And then they start wishing, they start thinking back on all the stuff that they missed out on, all of the things that they, basically did or didn't do. And then they start understanding, basically they're gonna be this old lady by themselves. And it's like, man, I mean, you had your whole life and you had all of these opportunities and you just took them for granted. But yeah, let a guy have 100 women in their inbox. They gonna probably man, they gonna be probably smashing as many as they can. Out of that 100 women, they gonna go through as many of them women as they can. You know what I'm saying? Like men don't play around with opportunities like women do. That's the whole moral of that. Men don't play around like with that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't gonna lie. Like, that's the thing with me. Like, me personally, I mean, like, I go from periods where I'm just a fucking slut to I'm a monk. You know what I'm saying? I have periods where I never forget, and this is real personal, but hey, it is what it is. I remember I had 1 week. I think I had like two threesomes. This was back in like when was this? This was like 2020 um 2022. I think it was like 2022. I had like in 1 week's time, I had I had two threesomes and then like two other chicks that I was smashing in 1 week. And I was like, damn, I mean, yeah, like it was, yeah. And then it went from that to like I've had periods where I mean it was like that, 6 month drought because I just got used to just being lazy. Like I just got used to like basically women hit me up, you know what I'm saying? Mainly off Facebook, just hit me up. And then I don't really have to do much or nothing. You know what I'm saying? Going out and actually trying to hunt and trying to go to like bars and clubs and different events. That's just like, man, I just I don't really have the I don't really like I'm just not really I don't really have the time for that. Like I'm always working and I'm always, just kind of tired and it's like I don't really have the I don't really like to go out and be, I could do it and I've done it plenty of times, but it's like, eventually I will, but it's like, man, I'll just like basically go and, wait till I can get something easy versus like, go out and actually hunt. It's like, it's like, damn, that's a lot of dudes. I'm not the only one that has that problem. Like, it's like a lot of dudes, they just don't put in the effort because it does require effort. That's the whole thing with dating apps. It didn't really require that much effort. You got the dating app, you put your profile up, then you swipe, and then get some matches, and then you inbox and you get the number, and then what I'm saying, y'all hitting each other up, and then if y'all like each other, you move forward. I mean, it's not you did all of that without having to leave your house. You didn't have to go to no club, you didn't have to get in line, you didn't have to go to no bar, you didn't have to do anything. It was all on your phone or on your computer. And um I don't know, like I think it just the heyday of online dating was probably in the early 2000s. The early 2000s was probably the best time for online dating because it was still kind of new. People was like, I remember women was like, man, I never did this before. And, I don't really know, they were kind of iffy about trying to talk to people off of the internet, and it went from that to People just that's just how people meet. Like that's the main, like, online dating is pretty much how people meet. That's mostly, that's just how people meet. That's the most, the common place that people meet each other. So people are just not really feeling the dating apps. Both men and women are complaining about dating apps. So it's like a period where maybe they need to do something else. It needs to be some type of I don't know, it's an opportunity for some new startup to come through and disrupt the industry, like maybe come up with some type of matchmaking app or something like that, or some type of revolutionary way of dating, because online dating was revolutionary. Like it was a new thing. It was a new way to meet people. Like that's how my friend, he met his wife off of I think like an Islamic dating site or something like that. Um and he got like his kids are grown now. Um but the thing is, like, yeah, I mean, it was revolutionary. Like, you would meet, because of the internet, you would meet people you never would meet. You probably crossed paths with, but you didn't even know they existed, because it's like when you were dating in the 90s before the internet. Like, you dealt with women that you probably went to high school with, you worked with, lived in your neighborhood, you cross paths maybe at work or something like that. That was who you was dating. You wasn't meeting some, you wasn't going on no date with no chick. Like the last, like, I kind of stopped dating, but I remember the last date I went on, and this is kind of why I just kind of fell back on the dating thing, because it's like I just think people just, I don't know. It's just, I don't really like spending money on strangers. I mean, I just don't like, especially if things is not already established. But I met this chick that she was Ethiopian and Eritrean, and she was like 41. She was like a few years younger than me. Fine motherfucker. Fine, thick joint. You know what I'm saying? She was a nurse. She had two kids. I think she had a white ex-husband, and she's divorced. Um and she lived like in the western suburbs. And I wouldn't have crossed paths with her because I don't live in the western suburbs. At that time, I was all the way in Gary, Indiana, and I wouldn't have crossed paths with her. Like, I mean, because I was like probably, what, 50 miles from where she lived. So it's like the internet, online dating put people that were not in your geographical area, as far as like in your, cross your paths or circles, that you could meet up with. I think that's just how that, revolutionized dating. Like, you would expanded your pool, expanded your options to other people outside of your, general location, and where you cross paths with. Now the internet is your path, and people all over the world, people all over all over the country, they're trying to date somebody. You can theoretically date that person. You know what I'm saying? Like, so yeah, I think it's room for disruption. I think it is room for disruption in that space of dating. It's some new ideas that could be done. It could be some new innovation that could be had in that space. But at the end of the day, I mean, when chaos erupts, which is a lot of chaos in this country, that's why people are very doom and gloom. People don't really want to date. You know, it goes into like the mouse utopia, the beautiful ones, and all of that type of stuff. Like that's kind of what's going on right now. When things get challenging, when humans are no different than any other animal. When an animal gets challenged as far as his environment and just how his environment is, they won't procreate like that. They won't even procreate. Like some animals in captivity, they would not procreate. Like it's certain animals, they have a problem procreating in captivity. They already know they in captivity. They not trying to mate. They not trying to make no babies in captivity. They already know they like basically cooked. They behind this glass and this enclosure or whatever, and this is their reality. They don't necessarily probably remember how they got there or whatever, but they're there now and they not having no babies in captivity. And people, they just kind of like that in the sense where they know this country is fucking fucked up. They know things are fucked up economically. Like again, I said, money is food to people. People to animals, food is money and currency. I guess even the environment is a certain level of freedom. And when people, don't have enough food, which is money, they not trying to produce a whole bunch of kids. Poor women produce kids because they getting on the, they getting Section 8. They might get some food stamps. They might get some child support. They'll have some kids because it's kind of like they taking the vow of poverty to basically have kids and kind of get the bare minimum from the government. And some women are okay with that, but most women are not. Most women, they're not okay with that because women are competitive. They compete against other women, and they also compete with men for jobs. And they don't want to be like the boss babe chick that they follow on IG and on YouTube and on other social media platforms. And they trying to get them a Birkin. They trying to get them a Lux apartment, a Lux condo, or some shit, and they trying to have their the love the most handsome man that they can get in their life or whatever, to give them a rich good looking man to give them everything they want out of life. um and that's what they're looking for, and that they're not following. Their ambitions is not to be a single mom on food stamps and Section 8. It just not, even in the black community, that's not what black women are striving for. Is quite a sizable amount of women that are they do get Section 8 and they do get food stamp shit. My uncle owns the house next door to my grandparents. His property is Section 8. She got a couple kids, one of them went away to college. She still gets Section 8. You know, um, it's I don't know the percentage of black women that get Section 8, but it's not like what black women are aspiring. Like the average black woman that goes away to college, goes away, gets some, goes to college or whatever, trying to get into some career, her aspirations is to get on Section 8 and food stamps, and get government subsidies. Like that's just not how that they're, that's not what they're aspiring to do, so that, it's like an embarrassment to a certain extent for black women. Like they don't want to, you know, be in that realm. That's why the abortion rate is so high, because they don't want to be statistically a single mother with children, you know, dealing with, financial struggle and all of that type of stuff. Even though, I mean, that don't necessarily, it's just because you have a kid doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be in poverty, but statistically, yeah, the odds are against you. But I mean, it's all about your will and what who you dealt with and all of that type of stuff. I mean, that plays a role in it, your support system and all of that. But yeah, it is a thing, where, yeah, it is a reason why those abortion rates are very, very high with black women, because they want to have fun and get skeeted in, and they like it raw and all of that. But they don't want to have a child by themselves and be a single mom. So they go run to the abortion clinic, even though it's like, okay, well, you know if you actually met the right dude, and then you have some type of plan, and something happens or whatever, you play, what I'm saying, it's a way you cannot get pregnant. What I'm saying? Like, I mean, like, it's it's ways, proven methods to not get pregnant, that both women can do and men can do at the same time. You don't, I know men, I mean, we like to go raw and we like to leave it in, but you could track ovulation. You could, basically, I mean, they got birth control. Uh, you got the IUD, or I think it's, yeah, IUD. I mean, all of those things, man. It's a lot of ways that you cannot get pregnant. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, the pull out method is effective, but a lot of dudes don't know how to pull out. I granted that. Like, dudes just ain't gonna pull out like that. Like, it's only, oh, I don't even know the percentage of men that know how to do that, but I ain't gonna even lie. I don't even know anything about that. I don't know anything about no pull out method. I never even tried to pull out. Like, I ain't gonna even lie, but I'm not the one to talk to about the pull out method. But I mean, the pull out method, I believe, is effective. I think it's like 80% effective or something like that. But all of these things are like, they're like stacks, or a sub stack. Like, you add ovulation tracking, pull out method. Um, I'm not even gonna mention condoms, because I know, people, once they start having raw sex, they're not wearing no condoms. But I mean, you got birth control, Plan B. Um, you got, men can do certain things to kind of kill off their sperm. Like, I learned these things late, but like, I read a lot of books. I have a lot of knowledge, right? So one of the things men could do is, like, if you can take a hot bath. Like, if you about to have sex that day, or you regularly are having sex, you can basically take a hot bath, or like get in a hot jacuzzi or something like that. And what that does is, like, your basically your gonads, your balls, um they store sperm. So what happens is, you kill off the sperm, and this goes back to, basically ancient Egypt, like, thousands of years ago. Yeah, you sit in a hot bath. This free information, you know what I'm saying? You basically sit in this hot bath, and it basically temporarily um disables your sperm, because it get that hot bath kind of makes the sperm kind of die off temporarily. I mean, your sperm continuously, your body continuously produces sperm. But let's just say like an hour or two before sex, you got in a really really hot bath and immerse yourself. It'll kind of like hurt temporarily um basically disable your sperm. You know what I'm saying? So you add that to the mix. I don't know if like a cold plunge will have the same effect. I'm not sure about that. Maybe a cold plunge would have the same effect, but I'm not sure. I have to talk to a doctor about that. But definitely I know the hot bath method, that definitely works, because the sperm, it can't deal with hot temperatures like that. Um, so yeah, I mean that's one thing. And you use all of those things in combination, you won't get the woman will not get pregnant. And like especially if you track the cycle, if you know her cycle, like, and she tells you her cycle patterns and whatnot, like y'all can time it out to where you won't have to worry about no babies like that. Like, because okay, I'm fertile this period of time. I think like sperm lasts for like a few days in inside the vagina, or the I think the fallopian tubes. And then after like a couple days it starts to die off. And I think a woman has like a window, a fertility window, or ovulation window of like a week or two or something like that. Then after that, it's no egg, you know. And if there's no egg, she won't get pregnant. So these are the things that people knew back like long time ago. Like they knew, all right, if she was ovulating, she was gonna get pregnant. If she weren't ovulating, she's not gonna get pregnant. So like you know it's a period of time where she's ovulating, and then it's a period of time she's not. So all these things in conjunction with one another will deal with you not having to fucking go to an abortion clinic. You know what I'm saying? Like that's just, young stupid people, or even older stupid people that don't know how to handle their body. They weren't taught how to handle their body. It is a thing. Like, people don't be knowing stuff. Adults, they don't really want to talk about, parents don't want to talk about sex with their children because it's a taboo subject, and they kind of feel embarrassed talking about sex with their children, so they don't talk about it. Both the father and the mother don't mention anything about it. And then the teenagers, they grow up and then they don't know nothing. And then it's like you just get caught up because they don't know anything, because nobody's there to teach them anything. But I mean, you do have a lot of information available now. I mean, you got AI chat boxes and all of that. So I mean, it's so many ways to find out. Like, what literally AI does? I'm talking right now, right? And I'm putting out information that is probably not, people are not talking about every day on YouTube. And literally what AI does is it reaches out to even YouTube for video text, because every video you have the ability to transcribe every video on YouTube. So like basically what AI does is it gathers information even from YouTube as a source, and it'll spit it right back out to you. And it's like, yeah, like, I kid you not, like everything I'm saying, like those things are definitely valid. Um the IUDs for sure, even though they don't have 100% effective rate, like IUDs are not 100%. um they can break off, they can get kind of loose or something like that, or the sperm can get through some kind of way or something. I don't know. But they, they are, I think they have some type of effectiveness of like, they're pretty effective, So um, but the thing is like, yeah, people don't be wanting to have children when, you know, it's all kinds of chaos in the world and people don't have no money like that. Like the money is funny and people don't feel confident to have children. They just don't feel confident to have to, women have to take risks to, like women don't even want to take risks, and the risk is, okay, I want to have sex, but if I have sex and the risk of having sex is I'm going to get pregnant, and they don't want, they're not trying to get pregnant in no time like this where economy's jacked up, so the money is jacked up basically, and jobs are jacked up. The country is launching out missiles in foreign countries and hijacking countries and hijacking presidents of other countries, and the gas is going up, and gas is already pretty much high already. Then the housing is an issue. Freaking cars, everything is high. Like, yeah, they don't feel confident in this shit, man. In the 90s, shit was booming. It was like, man, bang, 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 ski, 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 bang, bang. Like they were like, man, party over here. Because the world was a different place than it was. The economy was different, like in the 90s. Like, I don't even know if there'll ever be another 90s level economy in my lifetime. I hope it is. But I mean, the way it was in the 90s, it was just motherfuckers was balling. Like that, like the 90s was probably the best time for black people, as far as I know in my lifetime. I mean, the 90s was like the best time I can ever say for black people. Like I saw it. I saw the Lexuses on fucking rims and sounds, and mother was rocking Biggie, give me one more chance. Like everybody was just motherfucking blinged out. Motherfuckers had diamonds in their ears, and you know what I'm saying, gold chains. Motherfuckers was playing basketball all day, every day. Fit. Not too many people were fat. It was like, the women would just motherfucking throw in the pussy because I mean they was having, it was a better time. They were more confident. You know what I'm saying? It was a good fucking time. Like I can't point out another time in life where, well, I will say this. I'll say this. Black wealth is growing in the United States. It is gradually growing. I'm not gonna lie. I am seeing something different. I will be honest. I do see something different now versus what I saw in the 90s. What I saw in the 90s was a lot of black folks, a lot of families doing exceptionally well compared to the 80s. All right. That's what I saw. What I'm seeing now is a mix of individuals and some families, some black families, actually having um financial successes. And I'm talking about exceptional financial successes. I mean, you have just everyday average Joes making money. Even young people are making sizable amount of money. Like you got some, you got a movement of black people that are into investments and trading options and different stocks. um you got people basically all they do is they just do I think it's OTE stocks, which is basically um I think is it OTE or DTE? It's basically they're doing option plays for like one day, like just doing one day option calls and puts, and they hitting it out the park, like making money. Like you got people making money in all kinds of different ways. Like because you do have one of the things that I do see with black people now, and I would even say just in general anybody, but I just point out black people because that's what I'm pretty much mostly who I'm around. But like basically they're making money in different avenues. Like he got people, they're making money in stocks, they doing some things in crypto. You got some people doing um all kinds of different things in real estate. It's a lot of black folks, man, making different avenues. It's not that many, but it's a sizable amount. It's like a even a micro level amount of people. They are doing man, they're doing a lot of things, man, financially speaking, and they're like kind of making some sizable gains as far as wealth. Like there is a sizable growth when it comes to black wealth in this country. I don't know where I saw that at. I think I might have saw it on Instagram. I'm not sure. But yeah, black wealth is actually rising in America. I mean, to a small percentage. And the thing is, when I was young, I will say the difference between the 90s and now, I used to think like the average black person that had, if I saw a black person with a fucking Lambo or a Lexus or a Mercedes, they was selling drugs. Nowadays, I don't think that because I know for a fact it's so many ways that you can make money. They don't you ain't necessarily, if I see a black person with a nice car, I don't think that because I already know it's so many ways you can make money. Real estate, stocks, hell, even sports betting. I mean, you could fucking I mean, you can make shit tons of money in sports betting, but you could lose it too. But it's so many ways to make money now. And you got people that's doing trucking. Some people they're not even driving trucks. They just buying trucks, and then they get a DOT number, and then they just like basically have truckers drive under their DOT tag or something like that. It's a lot of black folks doing all kinds of shit. Like it's so many different because technology and the internet opened up a lot of portals for you to do things. Like you got the service-based economy, you got basically the e-commerce, products, like I mean, yeah, it's a lot of opportunities now to make money. Like you got people got e-commerce stores, they got they showing all of their packages. They got like, they got a spread of like 100 packages on the floor. Mainly the people that I see doing that are black women, or just yeah, mostly black women. Like they be like that. Black women are really good at selling stuff because they have a pool of other black women that support them, and then black men basically fall behind what the women want, so they support them. So black women probably, if I had to say, black women probably get more support than black men in business. So that's what I see. You can argue with me and tell me otherwise, or tell me something different, but I'm just seeing what I'm seeing. It's just, you know, you can't never beat no you just can't never beat no pussy and tits. You put a cute face behind it, and they know they don't even have to do that. They could just click start the OnlyFans, and they'll probably make more money. Like, I mean, it's just you just can't beat that out. Like you can't compete with that. That's why women with a YouTube, basically put on a tank top and show them, has some, if she got some breasts, this is basically start a live YouTube, She'll have 20 people in the box just staring at her while she talking about whatever. It's just women just have an appeal, a natural appeal that is just you can't compete with it. You just can't compete with it. But yeah, it's a lot of I'm seeing a lot of black people making a shit ton of money, like in different areas. Now I'm talking about the entrepreneurial class. Jobs, yeah, we got some people making some money in jobs and stuff like that, but I'm just primarily talking about from what I see on the entrepreneurial class level. You got a lot of black people doing a lot of just extraordinary things and are making money. I mean, it's so many ways to make money. I'm not, the gig economy is offering money to people that, basically what the gig economy is doing is kind of filling in filling a vacuum of people that were basically normally be unemployed. Like mostly like before the gig economy, pretty much you had to work somewhere and they had to hire you. And a lot of people were, basically they were basically disenfranchised from work. They weren't able to work. Well, I mean, you could just have a cell phone and basically a gig app and you can make money. It's not like, I mean, you're gonna become rich, but you could take that money and do something with it or whatever. I mean, it's like you got a lot of people that basically were probably 20 years ago, they were xed out of work. They're able to work as a subcontractor, and make some money, and if take care of their family, maybe parlay that into something else, maybe get a box truck, save their money, go get a box truck, and then they start a moving company, or start delivering for companies or something like that, picking up stuff. you know it's like it's a springboard. A job, that's what a job is supposed to be anyway. A job is supposed to be a springboard to other things if you want to do them. If you want, like, you learn a job, you know, then you go and start your own business, maybe doing the same thing you were doing at your job, or you do something else, you take that money and then you put it into something else, maybe, and you, if you didn't have that opportunity, it'll be hard for you to do that. Well, you know, um, a lot of people that basically probably were discriminated, would have been discriminated 20 years ago, or more. They're able to kind of fill the void in the gig economy, you know. And being an investor is really good for black people, and that's why I always talk about it, because investing, you don't have to really worry about discrimination. That's one of the things about investing that is good, because black people, a lot of black people are discriminated against. Like, a lot of people don't want to talk about that, or they don't want to acknowledge that, but it is what it is. Like, black people are discriminated against. And when you're an investor, you don't, it's no opportunity for you to be discriminated, because nobody know who the hell you are. You're just a man or a woman behind an account. You have an account number, and you basically do whatever you can do with that account. And it's nobody stopping you. You can trade as much as you want to trade. You can do whatever you want to do. And ain't nobody gonna be like, you can't do that. You can do whatever you want to do. And it's one of the best ways I think black people can make wealth in this country, because you don't have to deal with all of the discrimination from dealing with different people. Even black people even face discrimination from other black people. Just people in general, they behave a certain way when you have to interact with them. You know, when you work in a job and you going in the office, you know, people act a certain way, you know, you got to deal with all their bullshit and all their problems. When you invest, you don't have to deal with other people's problems. You're dealing with the stock market or forex market, crypto market, you know, whatever. And that's it. You ain't dealing with no discrimination. Ain't nobody popping out calling you nigga. You know, ain't nobody stopping your shine or stopping you from making any money. You can do whatever you want to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, that's why investing is like a Swiss Army knife, especially if you black in this country, because you literally don't have to worry about discrimination. If not nothing else, you don't have to worry about anybody basically, you know, discriminating against you just because you're black or whatever. You know, just because whatever, some other person just don't like you because whatever, you are black. You don't have to worry about that investing. You're a silent investor. Don't nobody knows. Only person that knows you exist is the brokerage account, and that's just basically because you gotta show them your ID because of the Patriot Act and all of that bullshit. Like they know who you are and all of that, but that's it. Like they can't stop you from trading or you know setting up a chart or tracking a trade or anything like that. It's a platform and you trading, and then that's it. Like, you know, now I will admit, if they did find out a whole bunch of black people made anything, they just, they create new rules. You know what I'm saying? They create new rules and all of that type of shit, new red tape. You know, if a whole bunch of black people definitely start, it's like, started just making a shit ton of money in the stock market. You know what I'm saying? They gonna start a new rule. You gotta have $1 million to trade in the stock market. It's like, that's the reason why there's gun laws. The reason a lot of people don't know, like a lot of people don't know this shit. Like, I mean, the reason why there's gun laws primarily is because black folks, because of the Black Panther Party. Like you had black people with black suits and black leather jackets with shotguns and rifles walking down the street talking about no justice, no peace, and they walking around with armed rifles and shotguns and shit. Man, they was like them Democrats or whoever the white people, the white politicians at that in the 60s. It's like, man, fuck this shit. We gonna create some laws where we can't have all this. And yeah, that's why you got gun laws. You know, these black folks was walking around with guns. Like guns, the semblance with black people and guns is it is a it's kind of a it is something special. It's something uniquely historical about black people with guns. And the reason being is that's what white people use to conquer Africa. That's what they use to conquer the whole world, actually. Basically, guns and ammo, the cannon, you know what I'm saying? They knew that they didn't have the ability to really be effective with hand-to-hand combat. So they came up with an invention where they could be thousands of miles away, or not 1,000 miles, but like a hundred yards away, or even longer than that. They could just fire a cannon, and then have a competitive advantage on the battlefield. They didn't have to face hand-to-hand combat. Then the gun, they could just be way, way back, and then they could shoot this gun and have a competitive advantage. And it's like, well, if the people that they shooting guns at have guns too, they don't have a competitive advantage. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, yeah, like the whole gun thing, the whole reason why there's gun laws, yeah, it's primarily because of black people, and more directly because of the Black Panther Party. Black men, walking around with, all black with shotguns, rifles, you know what I'm saying, protesting the white establishment in the 1960s and 70s. Yeah, they immediately started gun laws. That's where all that shit started from. Like, you used to be in the 50s and 60s, people used to be able to basically buy a gun from a mail order. Like, you could like literally on a magazine ad for a gun. Like, if it used to have magazine ads for guns, if you like that gun, all you had to do was fill out your name, your address, your phone number, and then, basically give them a check or money order in the mail, send it in the mail, and then about a week, a couple weeks, a month, you get a gun shipped to your house. The mailman comes, delivers this box to you. You pull out, you got your Smith and Wesson, 38 special in a box. Because you mailed $15. Because everything was cheap as hell back then. Like, back in the 50s and 60s, you could buy a move-in ready house for like less than $10,000. So a gun didn't cost nothing. Like, used to be like, you could buy brand new cars back in the 60s. You could buy a brand new car for like $2,000. I mean, so it's like, yeah, everything a lot. Yeah, they just create new laws and shit. You know what I'm saying? When black folks advance on anything, like, they just, yeah, we're gonna rewrite these laws and all of that. And then everybody's affected by that. I read somewhere, not even read, it was like basically either like older Gen X white people or younger boomers. They said the reason why there's no universal health care is because they don't want black people and other non-whites to have universal health care. They wanted it, like, they wanted healthcare to be a luxury. They didn't want other they didn't want non-whites to have access to healthcare like that. So it's like a lot of this shit, is a lot of these red tapes is racially motivated, the reason why they exist. But the thing is like, yeah, a lot of black folks, they doing all kinds of things and making a lot of different areas and opportunities that just kind of was like more gate kept back in the 70s and 60s and 80s. Like, in order to trade back in the 70s and 80s, you had to have a broker. You had to call your broker. You had to wire some money to your brokers, your brokerage firm that the broker worked at, or send a check or whatever, and then your broker would trade some stocks for you. Like, that's how you used to have to do that. When the internet popped up, and then, basically you was able to trade on an online platform. You didn't have to go through a broker anymore. I think they had, I remember Scott Trade, like, if you had a complicated trade, you could call a broker on the phone, but they'll charge you a fee for that. But it's like, yeah, like, all this, online technology basically opened up the ability for you to make money, kind of being anonymous. And you can't bother me if you don't know who the fuck I am. It's no reason, you don't even know I exist. So, like, yeah, it is quite a few individuals that are, kind of even making more money than they did in the 90s. But I would say, in aggregate, as a whole, black people were doing very good in the 90s. But nowadays, not so good. as far as in aggregate as a whole, not so good. Because see, okay, you have opportunities and everything now, but you got more single family homes. You got single family homes, so you got a lot of young men running around doing all kind of crazy shit because there's it's more single mother raised households than it was back in the 90s. You got more people that just doing all kinds of crazy shit. You got more LGBT, because women are, they don't know how to deal with men, so they're dealing with women. You got all this kind of shit going on that you really, I mean, not saying it didn't happen in the 90s, but it's widespread now, because everybody's trying to survive. And it's like women by themselves, they try to lean on other women to survive, and then men, men is probably even the rates of men being homosexuals probably rising too, but a lot of that is linked. I would say quite a bit of that is linked to the prison system. Men go into prison, they get raped or they, have sexual relations and they come out and they, have a double lifestyle and all that type of stuff. But I mean, it's like, yeah, it's a lot of that going on. That's rising. That kind of like Sodom and Gomorrah. So that's an element, added element to the mix that is basically decide. The only thing that could come from that is societal decay. Men and women cannot raise healthy um families by being gay. I hate to say it, but basically it is what it is. We can't have a society based off of bonobos. We're not bonobos, and everybody knows if you want to reference historically a bonobo society, you could basically look at Greco-Roman history. Greco-Roman history, one of the main reasons why they fail is because of that homosexuality behavior. That it's no future in that because can't raise healthy children in some type of gay Sodom and Gomorrah paradox. It just doesn't work that way. And then you're weak, so you're not this strong alpha male taking it up to basically being what is the name that I thought about today? I thought about some name and it was like, damn, this is true. Being a booty wrestler. You can't, you can't, what I'm saying, be this strong. It's no strong titan that's just some booty wrestler that's just gonna compete with other men, straight heterosexual, men. You just can't compete with that. You booty wrestling. You're taking your time of your life being a booty wrestler, and you're not having no children because your sperm is being wasted and basically being a booty wrestler. You being a cat licker. It's no why other countries are popping out babies having heterosexual relationships, even polygamous heterosexual relationships. Why you booty wrestling and cat licking. It just doesn't work like that. Other societies is just gonna crush you because they got more. They create more armies of people. And you just creating this rainbow society. It doesn't work like that. And any historical relevance to point you of it not working like that is the fall of Rome. You know, and ideally, if you're really really smart, you already pointed to the fall of Tripoli, the Ottomans, the Muslims fighting the Christians. What competitive advantage do you think the Muslims had versus the Christians? I'll point to one is more homosexual than the other, even though they're both homosexual. Because that's one of the tripped out things about Islam. or even people that are being Muslims, or the people that are Muslims all across the world. Like, you got people that are Muslims that also are homosexual, because see, the homosexuality is an animalistic behavior. So it doesn't matter the religion. People are going to exhibit those behaviors because it's an animalistic behavior. It has nothing to do with necessarily religion, but I will say Christianity does support. It does have a link with homosexuality because it goes back to um basically Rome. Roman Catholics were the first, quote unquote, outside. Actually, they weren't the first Christians. The Coptics, the Egyptian Coptics, were the first Christians, but the first worldly renowned Christians were the Roman Catholics. And they were and are very much still very homosexual, primarily in secret, but they're very, very homosexual. Down to even, I would even say, pedophilia, pedophiliacs as well. So it's no future in that. Like, it just, it's degradation. So um when you see that, it's a link. It's like you could almost point to a falling society. Just like basically the reason why the Black community is a matriarchal society is because basically the men were at some point or another are basically conquered or subjugated. When the men are subjugated, the women are placed on top, and the men are subjugated, and then they're also subjugated by their own women. That's where the matriarchy stuff comes from. Basically, the men lost at one particular time. They lost their position, and then the women were placed above the men. But anyway, I just wanted to say, because I could be on here all fucking night long, but I just wanted to say, like, yeah, I get the whole doomerism stuff, or the logic behind it and all of that, but you got to understand, it's kind of like, okay, it's always somebody doing worse than what you are. Depending on how bad your situation is, it's always somebody that has it worse than you have it currently. Like, for example, it's like the idea of you tripping about you don't have a car. Okay, it's a dude is riding he's he it's a dude that basically, okay, you got a bike but you don't have a car. It's a dude that don't have a bike. You know what I'm saying? And he looking at you riding your bike, he just walking, catching the bus, while you putting your bike on the front of the bus and getting on the bus. He just walking on the bus. He ain't got no bike. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then a dude, he in a wheelchair. He looking at the dude that's walking around. You know what I'm saying? You know, it's like, yeah, the dude with a car, he just got a regular car. He looking at the dude with a Porsche and a Mercedes and exotic car and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Dude with the exotic car, he looking at the motherfucker on Instagram with a private jet. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just doesn't stop. It's like it just keeps going and going and going. It's like, it's competitive. People have is always somebody in a worse situation than what you have it. But yeah, this country, yeah, it's fucked up, man. These boomers, Donald Trump and company, it's like the boomers and the Xers, they're joining forces and they're fucking this country up. The Hexefs and Donald Trump, um, you know, all of these politicians is fucking this country up. These elites, and I explain how people, once you get a certain amount of money, if you have a certain dynamic, like people don't really pay attention to me much, but I don't really give a shit. But like, yeah, what I said about mindset, momentum, and money management, that shit is real. Like, if you actually train your brain and you train you know yourself to actually think like that and get out of the consumer slave mindset, you know, you literally $100,000, you could turn that into a million. You turn that a million to 10 million, 100 million, a billion. Like, once you get a certain level of money, you can literally be on autopilot to be rich and wealthy for the rest of your life. And once, a lot of the rich and the wealthy, or I'll just say the elite already knew this and they already know this. Because see, that's the difference. Like, that's why these they say Mayweather is busted or broke or something, or getting or filing bankruptcy. I don't know, but the thing is, like, this is why a lot of celebrities, they get money and then they go broke, because they don't know that 3M, my money mindset, money management and momentum concept. The elite know that. They mastered it. And it's like they don't even gotta know it. They deal with basically financial analysts and brokers, and they basically give them a portion of their wealth, and they just basically, you know, invest it, and then they just make more and more and more money. And it just, every year their wealth is growing and growing and growing. If you want an example of this, watch the documentary. I think it's still on YouTube. It's called The 1%. The 1%. And it's like, it's a scene in that documentary where it's like the Johnson family, they own Johnson and Johnson. I mean, like, basically, the powder, the baby lotion, the oil, and all of that, right? Like, they were having a family meeting, and their financial analysts were saying, yes, well, your wealth is growing, substantially. And it's like every year the financial analysts are telling them the same exact thing. And it's like, yeah, I mean, um consumer slaves are, because the average person is trained to be a consumer slave. Basically, consume, and it's based off of your income and you consuming. It has nothing to do with investing, business, nothing, right? So once you lose that income, you basically, it stops. Then you're not able to be, and then you still trying to be a consumer slave. You still going shopping and everything, like, money is just no object. Then eventually you get broke, you know. And it's like, yeah, when you have a different mindset, like, I'll just say a 3M, you have the 3M logic. I'll just say, you don't think like that, and that won't happen to you. And you get money, you get a substantial amount of money, it's going to grow, and it's going to grow, and it's going to grow, and it's going to keep growing. And it's like, that's what the economy, that's why things are the way they are. You have a very small amount of people that are getting richer and richer and richer, and the poor is just eating itself. It's just like this, the poor are just cannibalizing themselves, and to oblivion. And it's like, um the wealthy, and they're not, I don't know, like, I mean, I see Jeff Bezos' ex-wife, I forgot her name. She's giving money to HBCUs and stuff like that, but she's one of few people that are doing that. Like, I mean, I don't know no wealthy person is giving me anything. Like, I ain't got no $1,000 cash apps or nothing like that. Like, I mean, I don't know. Like, I ain't no wealthy. I don't know if wealthy people are just giving people money like that. I don't think so, because the wealthy business class, or the elite business class, which makes up most of, the Fortune 500 companies, Fortune 1000 companies, like, they're laying off employees. They're not giving nobody nothing like that, like, as far as I could see. Like, I mean, I don't think so. They're not just giving anybody no money. So, basically you're on your own trying to make it in Hunger Games. You know what I'm saying? This shit is starting to turn into some fucking sci-fi thriller, and it's like, yeah, people crashing out, robbing banks. Like my homie, he just called me and said they robbed a pawn shop in Hammond, Illinois, or something like that, like Easy Pawn. It's like, yeah, people are robbing all kind of stuff because, yeah, the government ain't passing out no checks. People are already in bad people. Like, I'll say this: people been in a bad shape for over a decade, going back to, if you really point, like, if you it's only so many people that came up after 2008, and it's pretty much the government has just pretty much been socialist since 2008. It's just been given just been trying to stave off financial oblivion since 2008. And it's like, this can only continue for so long, where the government can come in and just basically socialize and just give out money. Like, the government can't, it doesn't have the ability to do that. And it's, the debt ceiling is climbing and climbing. I think what is the debt clock? Like, what, about 35 trillion, approaching 40 trillion in debt? You know what I'm saying? So it's like, yeah, I mean, it's just this like K-shaped economy where you got the wealthy elites that's making climbing profits every single year. Then the poor is just going downhill, getting laid off. AI is advancing every single day. Taking out jobs. I mean, I don't be honest, I don't even have to go to Canva and do anything to make a thumbnail. I just go to fucking, Grok. I need a YouTube thumbnail for this topic that I'm thinking about, and then it just generates. I might have to do a few prompts till I get the right one, and then boom. You know who used to have to create thumbnails? Man, graphics designers had to create thumbnails and all of this type of stuff and logos and all that. Now you got AI just taking artists' jobs very easily, just destroying jobs. Like, they say that you can make a whole production of like $100 million video production, a movie, with AI and shit. Like, it's just gonna continuously get more smarter every single day, and it's gonna be more like software as a services built up, spent up, to where it could just do some tasks. Like, I mean, like, literally yesterday, I literally created a fucking Python app, and this shit is like, I'm just like, man, I'm just like, my head is just blown up. Like, I literally created an app that converts. I know it sounds very general, but you got to understand. I mean, I don't have to go on no website or anything. I just whip this joint up and point and click on my laptop, and then just chunk away. It literally takes a PDF, and then it converts it into an audiobook. Literally, it takes like less than a minute to do it too. No, it takes a couple minutes. It takes a couple minutes. But yeah, I just click, just kick run, and then it just asks me what PDF I want to convert to an audiobook, and then boom, it starts generating this audiobook. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, yeah, man, it's um, it's yeah, this is the reality, man. I mean, and I understand it is tripped out. And it really, to be only way to advance in it, as I know, is building up momentum. Unless you got a rich uncle or a rich auntie, or somebody go give you some money or whatever, like, you gotta build this shit brick by brick, man, $1 at a time. $1 to two to four, 4 to 8, 8 to 16, 16 to 32, 32 to 64. This is the because we were not born in a rich family, and we ain't pay attention to grandma. She had, like, I remember my grandma, she actually had all these books in this house. And she had a lot of information. All I had to do was sit back and just read it and pay attention. I would have been way far ahead. But like you just didn't think that this was gonna happen. Like, every day just became, different opportunities that you missed out on. I mean, ideally, most people missed out on Bitcoin. Then they missed out on the other altcoins when they were cheap. I remember when Ethereum was Ethereum was like $10. I think even less than that. I mean, Litecoin, all of them. I remember they was dirt cheap. What did I do? Went out and got a car note. I mean, Litecoin. I remember Litecoin. Litecoin was like less than a buck. This was like 2017. What I go do, buy a used Volvo, a 2005 Volvo truck in 2017. I could have bought a shit ton of Litecoin and I'd have came up, or buy some Ethereum or something like that, Um, and it's just, yeah, like it's a lot of stuff that you got to just jump on and ride the wave, and try to get, as much as you can out of it till it, drops. But like, yeah, that's the only way. Like, it just, I mean, unless you can, like, get some type of big come up or whatever like that. I don't even play the lottery no more. I think the lottery, I don't know, when I think about the lottery, like it's like on some Epstein type shit. Like that's what I heard about the lottery. Like I don't even want to talk about the lottery on no motherfucking public platform, because it's some rabbit hole type shit. Like, I'd have to do a freaking a rabbit hole series, about that. Like it's some conspiracy type shit when it comes to the lottery. Like, so I definitely, once I kind of figured that out, I just stopped playing the lottery at all. Like, I don't play the Powerball, the Mega Millions, none of that shit. I don't give a fuck about none of that shit. Cause like what I've kind of heard about it, and I do believe it, like I don't fuck with that shit. Like, I just stopped. But um I mean, unless you have like some come up or something like that, one stop, you just get rich as hell. Like, it's just, you got to build it up brick by brick. Like, um, one rice at a time. Like, you just it gotta be slow motion, gradually coming up, sticking with it, consistent, staying with it, and just keep on going. Like, just like I started talking about the janitor that, basically, over the course of his time working as a janitor, he was a silent millionaire. You know what I'm saying? Like, buying up dividend stocks. I remember I did a video long time ago, like years ago, and I have a video clip of it was a black dude that was a parking attendant, and he was basically making like $15 an hour and being a parking attendant. But I think he worked with like some traders or something, and he would ask them financial advice and talk to them, talk shop with them. And he would basically take his little small income and basically buy stocks. He was worth over $500,000, you know, um, over the course of some decades. And he just kept his job as a parking attendant, and he was, I don't know if he is still alive, because this was like 20 years ago. I don't know if he's still alive, or, um, you know, if he's worth more or whatever. But that was what he did. Like, I mean, it's, this is the best country to do it. Or I ain't gonna say the best country, but it is a country where you can do that. Like you can change your the way you think and live. Like I say, be more, you just have more 3M logic, you know, money mindset, money management, momentum. And you could, like I said, take this thing, you know, from whatever you got to increase it over time. And that's the way you gonna do it. Like a lot of people, they trying to do things a different way because they either believe you got I think what most people do is, and my mother and father, I think they were trying to do this or whatever, like in their own right or way or whatever. Like most people, they they just work their job, they enjoy their life, they buy whatever they want. Like they buy, they have takeout, they they do the vacations, they get a car payment, they get, of course, the mortgage. Um, which one of the things I'll say, I'll give people a pass on a mortgage thing, but the car payments, you can avoid that shit. Like I bought a 2016 Nissan Rogue off Facebook Marketplace for like $2,500. Like, I mean, the thing it is something that happened to it. Like it's not running the way I like. After like 3 months, it turned into a pumpkin, but I mean it still drives. Like it just does it. I don't know. It's got some mechanical issues, but do you think I care? Like, I really don't care. As long as it drives, I'm good. But the whole point is I don't have to pay a car payment every month. Like my Nissan Altima that I had a 2-year payment. I mean a 2-year term loan, which was pretty cool because it's like it wasn't 4 years or 5 years or 6 years or whatever. Like it was 300. I was paying like 300 and like $50 a month, and I hated that shit. I hate car payments. And it's unnecessary, like 5 grand, whatever, like, 3 grand, you can get you a decent used car and you save your money, boom. Like, okay, mortgage, I understand, you ain't got 200, 300, $400,000 to buy no house, so you're gonna pay that, put that down payment and get you, pay that mortgage every month. I get it. I give myself and anybody a pass on the mortgage tip. But car payments, you got a car payment, your wife got a car payment. Nah. I mean, especially if you in debt and you ain't got you live in check to check, or you hardly have any savings at all or anything, like, nah. Just so you can pretend like you balling and you living this middle class life and all. Nah, that ain't the 3M. They ain't the 3M. That's not 3M logic. But the whole thing is like this. What most people do is they get the mortgages, the car payments, the credit card debt. They just live their life, and then they buy clothes, and they go shopping at the mall on the weekend, or they go shopping and order Amazon and all this shit. And it's like, at the end of the day, that's a fantasy. And what that leads to generally is being a lifelong debt slave. And that's what generally people do. And then they eventually get old and they get retired. And then, they got some excuses on why they never got rich or became a millionaire or whatever. And then that's it. Like, they just, might have, have insurance or might not have insurance, and and they die. Like, that's the average person. That's what they do. Like, and some people do worse than that. That's just the average. That's generally in America, that's considered a good life. But I mean, a person with a 3M logic would have no car payments. An extreme person will probably rent for a little while and save up enough money to buy a fixer upper with no mortgage. or just get a mortgage. You get a house and buy cars cash. Use the credit cards to make more money. Maybe buy some pallets of liquidation items like Walmart returns, Home Depot, Lowe's returns. Sell them on Facebook Marketplace, eBay. Um, try to do anything like, get ATMs, have ATMs or vending machines, like, investing in the stock market. Definitely have some type of like, insurance where they have whole life insurance or something like IULs with um Alonzo Hall, the insurance brother would be selling. And then, you just have that in case, for a death benefit, also for an investment in insurance. Start some type of trust if you really really want to go extreme with it, as far as getting some type of trust, and you roll your property into a trust and everything, different assets into a trust. That is more of a 3M logic, to where eventually you're going to be most likely a millionaire or better over, I'll say, 10 to 20 year period of time. And you're definitely not going to be a debt slave. And I mean, that it takes some learning and some education to do that. But that's just me, kind of, pointing out, why people are doomers, more doomers than I am. Because see, I know what the elites do. It's like being being a 5 percenter. Like I know what the 1 percenters are doing, to the 80, to the 85, or no, they say no, the 10 percenters. I know what the 10 percenters are doing, and I know what the 85ers are doing. So, like, in case you didn't know, like, uh um 5 percenters, like the kind of people that are woke or conscious, right? And they know what the 10%, and the 10 percenters are kind of woke and conscious too. They the elites that run the world, and cause conflict, and have people deaf, dumb, and blind and confused. And it's like the 85ers, they're like the sheep, the followers, the dumb, deaf, and blind, that's just following along with everybody else. And then, basically, I know, financially speaking, I know what the 10 percenters, they basically pushing propaganda, pushing you to be a consumer slave, and to work till you die and all this other shit, buy this car, look like this and all that type of stuff. And then, you become this hamster in a hamster wheel, working till you die to buy Gucci, Prada, Louis, and Birkins, and, you know, um, Louis Vuitton, and, all this stuff, to pretend to live this life where you're cosplaying a rich person, ideally. You basically, that's what most people do. Most people are following, it's like this song, follow the leader, Rakim say, the leaders are the elite. So that's what people are doing. They're trying to look as if they're not actually poor, and then they're borrowing money to do that. And it's like, to a certain degree, that's how they get you. That's the whole plan. That's the whole ploy. Yeah, be like me. But then what you're doing is you going into debt to your eyeballs to try to look like them, but you're not them. The only way to be them is to be them. Not, you can't be them by being in debt, to your eyeballs, trying to pretend this pretentious, fictitious life based off of you getting credit and paying a monthly payment every month. That's just not how that works. And yeah, I'm, wise enough, and, to know, what the overlay for the underplay is, or the underplay for the overlay. I understand it. I get it now more than I ever got it. I used to be one of the 85%, going out here. I remember I was in college. It was back when, Belly was out. It was like I was, I had, this was back when they had Everex jackets, the Everex leather jackets, Tim's, Tim's and Everex jackets, jeans, and what I'm saying, like, that was the thing, look like a hip hopper, look like you in a Method Man X, a Method Man and Red Man, what I'm saying, video, because at New York pretty much they kind of pretty much they they initiated the style and the fashion, what I'm saying, hip hop fashion and all that. So everybody, it's like, yeah, I used to be one of them dudes, man. It's broke, man, broke out of my eyeballs, like no money, begging my mama, begging my dad for money. My dad used to give me money. You know what I'm saying? Like he ain't even hardly had no money, and I used to ask. He used to give me money. Mom, you basically funded my whole lifestyle. She would pay for my rent, give me money, Western Unions and all that shit. Like, yeah, like waiting on my refund check from financial aid. Like, yeah, I used to do all that goofy shit. And, I did it even after, once I started working and everything, like, and I've been there, you know what I'm saying? And I just know enough to know, like, yeah, I know why people do it, and I understand it, and yeah, I don't do it. I don't give a shit. Like it's like, man, you think about it, like you doing that now to impress. Like I was doing that back then. I was trying to impress women. And it's like women don't even work. They don't care if you got some nice looking clothes on. They either like you or they don't. If they don't like you, they don't give a fuck if you got some new fashion on. If you got that, oh yeah, you got a hermit, you got a what's the it's hard to even keep up with today's fashion. Oh, you got a Supreme shirt with some, some Air Force Ones, or no, they don't even use some I don't know, Lavishore shoes or something. Like she don't give a fuck. You know what I'm saying? If she don't like you, she just because you got a Supreme shirt or a fucking I don't know, whatever, you got a I gotta think for a second. Okay, you got a Mary shirt with some fucking Lavishore shoes. I think I'm pronouncing it properly. And yeah, like you got $1,500 worth of clothes on you with your shoes and everything. You got a nice watch, right? And she still don't give a fuck about you. Her panties get wet off a broke nigga that she grew up with, that grew up in the projects, that barely got a pot to piss in and a window to throw it out of. And yeah, like you walking around with $2,000 on your body, and she still don't give a shit about you. So it just not don't work like that. But anyway, I'm gonna get off here. Very good live stream. I think this is going to be very, you know, very, very much a poignant conversation for those to have some thought about their life and what's going on. I mean, I don't know what the fuck these elites are gonna do, man. I don't give shit. It could be fucking a missile coming, off the border or the coast of the, fucking New York, for all I fucking know. I don't think so, but I don't know what these fuckers gonna do. At the end of the day, um, they know of people like myself and others, and they have plots and plans, because they're, the global elite. And they, um you got the European global elite and you got the American global elite, and They got long-term decisions, 100-year decisions, secrets decisions, and all that shit, and they trying to administer this shit. Basically, what it is I'll just tell you in short, like, pretty much the Crusades never ended. That's all you got to know. The Crusades never ended. It never ended. This is just a continuation of the fucking Crusades. That's all you need to know. If you want to research the Crusades, I mean, of course, you welcome to do so. I suggest you to do so. This is 2026 Crusades. Like, I mean, I don't know who will win. Will it be the Muslims or the Christians? Or really, to be honest, people are not even religious anymore. Christians are less religious than they ever were. Like, you could even say the Muslims are not really that religious as well as they were. But this is what this is. This is just a continuation, global dominance, Crusades 2026. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. That's all I'll say. You know what I'm saying? If you're brave enough to do so, tell me I'm fucking wrong.